Welcome back everybody to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the 2024 Mazda CX-50 Meridian. This is the best Mazda CX-50 that money can buy. Let's take a look. So as usual, we will start off with the front end for the Mazda CX-50. It looks very aggressive. It looks off-road ready, but the good thing about this Mazda CX-50 is that it's also pretty luxurious. So let's zoom in just a little bit. We can see we have these daytime running LEDs right here surrounded by the main headlight bulb that does have automatic on and off high beams. Very nice Mazda logo, a bunch of parking sensors. We also have a front facing camera as well as like a little front cooler right up here, and you can see that the turn signals are actually displayed down here and they're actually amber, which is really nice. Now, last but not least, this is my favorite part of the front end for the Mazda CX-50. You can see here it says CX50 Meridian, like these hood decals that look absolutely fantastic. When we zoom out just a little bit more here, it just adds so much character to the front end of the car, and I am an absolute fan. I think the front end is probably my favorite part. So let's take a look under the hood. We have Mazda's Sky Active G 2.5 liter engine with twin turbo scroll turbocharger, which is very nice to have. That gives us 256 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. That's if you're using premium grade fuel, so 97 octane. If you don't and you only use 87, your specs are going to be 227 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. Of course, you get all-wheel drive is standard across the board for the CX-50, and of course we have it in the top trim here, which is good to know. All right, so next up is the side profile for the Mazda CX-50. You can see we get a very nice view of that zircon sand metallic paint color. It looks kind of brownish, greenish in the light, sort of, but the metallic color really does do a good job of changing colors. I like these rims too. You can see they're like nice and black, and we got some chrome on them. If we zoom in on them a little bit here, also the Mazda logo's right there. You can see that we have a pretty good ride height as well. Pretty good for off-roading, pretty good for the more outdoorsy stuff. Then if we look at the side mirrors here, we have nice turn signal LEDs as well as a camera right underneath the mirror, because we do have 360-degree camera for this thing, which is nice. We do have these sensors for the lock and unlock buttons, which is very nice. And then we will come over, last but not least, to the back, where we have those iconic Mazda tail lights for the SUVs, at least anyways. They look very good. Don't think we need to change them. Again, it looks rugged out back here, which is really cool, and Mazda's not afraid to show their exhaust pipes, which I love. We also have a rear facing camera as well as parking sensors for the rear here, which is very nice. Rear wiper, pretty effective, no complaints there. We also have some badging, CX50 all-wheel drive, and the Sky Active G Turbo. Now, last but not least, let's actually open the trunk here. Of course, it's an automatic tailgate, which makes things even better. We have the CX50 logo right here, a ton of room, as well as a privacy screen right here, which is very nice. You can lift this little button right here, and that will fold the back seats down, and you'll have a ton of room. This is a super spacious SUV as far as it goes in the back. So there you go, that is the exterior for the Mazda CX-50, but there's a lot more to go over in the interior, and then there's the POV drive, so let's get into that. So as usual, first up, we have the back seat for the Mazda CX-50. You can see CX-50 is logoed right on the door, and we have this nice kind of brown leather kind of seats here, or the stitching as well as we got this nice black line that kind of splits up the colors. Looks fantastic in this color. I really like it. Let's actually hop in and let's talk about room and all of that. So it's relatively easy to get into, which is really nice because the ride height isn't terrible. Close the door. You can see my knees are pressing against the seat just a little bit for the driver, but it's not uncomfortable because there's a little cutout, and I've just got enough room. I've also got plenty of room for my feet here underneath the floor, or underneath the driver's seat, which is very nice. And then we have heated seating for the passengers back here as well as 2 USB ports, which is very nice, and some nice vents back here too. And we have a nice panoramic sunroof view. We like that. This guy's gonna fold down, give you some cup holders, no complaints there. Yeah, and I have just about enough headroom back here. My hair kind of touches it because there's no like cutout here, but we have plenty of trunk space, so I'm willing to trade a little bit of headroom for that, and that is perfectly fine. And I'm very comfortable back here. The back seats are actually very comfortable. They might even be more comfortable than the front seats in some conditions. So yeah, this is a very good rear seat, especially if you have like a family, stuff like that. This is going to fit you all pretty good. So there you go. There's the rear. Let's hop into the business end, the front end. All right, next up we have the front end for the Mazda CX-50. Again, it continues with this nice brown leather trim here, as well as we got the door controls, mirror controls. These are power folding mirrors as well, so when you lock it, you're gonna get that too. And then we have a Bose sound speaker right here, very nice to have. And you can see the power adjustable seats are right here for the driver, also fantastic. But let's actually hop in and see what we're really working with here. So if you saw my video on the Mazda 3, you're going to notice that the interior looks very much the same here in the CX-50, which isn't bad because I know how to use everything. So we have the view button on the left-hand side, parking sensors on or off, iStop, which is the automatic start-stop kind of feature that this has. We have 2 memory seat settings. We can control the trunk from here too. Then we move on to our digital and analog gauge cluster. I said that in the Mazda 3 that I really like the way that Mazda does this, and I still like it. You have a little bit of information that you can display. You can have a more classical look, or you can have your fuel economy up, or you can just have the lane keep assist stuff, which this is the one I usually keep up. So keeping that super simple, we'll pull back and we'll look at the driver's steering wheel. Very nicely wrapped leather, feels very good in the hand, feels very easy to clean too. I feel like you could probably get this a bit dirty if you were doing the outdoorsy stuff, as well. Like you get like these metal buttons that feel very good. I don't believe I had these kind of buttons on the Mazda 3, so a little bit of upscale on materials here. You can see the trim continues along here, which is nice as well. Then we move over, we have our infotainment display that does wireless CarPlay as well as wireless Android Auto, but you can use the Wire 2. That's the one I prefer anyways. This one has built-in navigation, which is very nice and easy to use should you need it and you don't want to use CarPlay. It is there for you. But again, Mazda's infotainment is just simple. You just get in and it's very easy to use. There's not a lot of settings to go over. There's not a lot of things to change or play with, which for people that I think are in the market for CX-50s, that's convenient. That's a good selling point. So we control the infotainment with this little scroll wheel here. People are going to hate it. Some people really love it. I'm indifferent. I don't hate it. I know, and I don't love it either. I like a touchscreen. I mean, that's what it is. But I will say that this is incredibly fantastic to use while you're driving. It's so hands-free, hands-off that you don't have to do anything, and this is very, very good. And I wish I could do both, where I could touch if I want to, but also use this, but you can really only do one here, but that's fine. I don't mind it. I think it's convenient. So if we move a little bit lower, we have our dual zone automatic climate control. I've got heated steering, which is on because it's cold, as well as my heated seat, which is also on because it's cold. We do have ventilation for the driver and the passenger also gets a heated seat. Very nice. All the buttons are laid out physically, so I don't have to worry about anything. We have this nice leather trim here on the dash here as well, with the brown kind of stitched in between. Looks fantastic. A standard shifter, 2 cup holders, nothing crazy. We do actually have some drive modes. You can see we have sport, normal, and off-road. When I tell you that this car is the oriented off-road, the only other mode we have is off-road. So there we go. We have volume control here. This thing kind of splits up and opens. When the car gets really warm, this kind of place seems to heat up. I don't know if it's heated. I don't think it is, but it does heat up very nicely when the car is on and being heated, which is nice. So that's cool. Then we have these. Look at how fantastic looking these seats are. Really, really, really looks super nice, luxurious. And look, the selling price for this is $51,000. That is without tax. So that's MSRP, $51,000. That's what Mazda's quoted me for this one. It's a lot of money. That's not a question, but it is still feeling premium, where I feel like they could have gotten away with maybe charging more. People probably would have bought it for a higher price point, but I'm glad that Mazda's trying to keep things affordable, and everything in here feels absolutely premium for the top trim of the Mazda, and I'm very, very happy with it. So there you go. There's the interior. Let's take it on a POV drive. I can talk about ride quality, comfort, and all this stuff in between. Let's see how this thing drives on the road. Let's go. All right, so here we are now on the road with the 2024 Mazda CX-50. We're coming to the end of the week here, and overall it's been a pretty luxurious week. I've had a lot of time in the car, ran a lot of errands, which I think is the main goal with these kind of cars, is just to get in them and to run some errands. So that's what I like to do. So now I've unfortunately caught myself in traffic, but I can kind of show you what it looks like when we put the foot down a little bit. And it's not terrible, right? Like, we do have some turbo in here. We do have a little bit more horsepower. So the specs, or the speed, I guess, that you're gonna get, your top speed or your top horsepower output that you're gonna get, like I said in the beginning, really depends on your octane level. Whether you put in the premium or the regular, it's gonna change your performance a little bit. Do I notice a difference? Absolutely not. I don't know. I try to put premium in throughout the week, so that way when I come to do the review, it is like max output, but really I don't notice a difference from pushing it full beams with regular and pushing it full beams with premium. No idea what the difference is, but I like the Mazda's honest about it, whether or not you put, you know, certain things in, how the car is going to react. So I mean, that's up to you, right? If you want to spend a little bit more at the pump, okay, no problem. You might get a little bit more horsepower from that. Great. But you know, in terms of just driving normally every day, I probably would always put regular gas in this thing and not really complain about it. In terms of like stiffness and other things like that, it's been pretty good. The steering wheel just in general is very stiff, or like not very stiff, but on the stiffer end, on the more firm end of the steering kind of position. And then sport mode obviously, you know, increases that level of stiffness. So if you like a stiff steering wheel, the CX50's got you covered there, which is, you know, again, not terrible at all. Now let's talk a little bit about some ride comfort. So ride comfort is actually pretty okay. It rides really well, this Mazda CX-50 does. It goes over the bumps well, it does all that stuff well, it handles everything I've thrown at it this week very well. It's just that sometimes the seat comfort is a little bit on the more firm side, which surprised me from the top trim of the Mazda. I expected it to be a little bit on the less firm side, but it's actually more firm than you might think or hope. But it's not uncomfortable, it's just like surprising how, you know, it's a bit rigid, but I assume that's because of the fact that we're going to be taking this thing off-road and like more outside kind of thing, so you don't want like a super cushiony, you know, feeling seat. The good news is though that if you're looking for feedback from a seat, you do get that with this, because it is on the firmer side. You do get a lot of the feedback. You feel a lot of the bumps in the road, and you can kind of feel what the car is doing at any given time because of how relatively firm the seat is, which is cool. All right, so I got out of some traffic. Let's give it the true beams. Go! Hey, pretty good. Pretty good. Hey, it's not boring. It's not boring acceleration. And hopefully you can hear the engine properly too, because that is a pretty good noise coming from the engine. It's not like anything crazy, but for like a family-oriented SUV, hey, we'll take that noise any day. That's not bad. The acceleration is pretty good, and it's very smooth. That's one thing that I will always say about Mazda is their power delivery off their Skyactiv, or I think even if you get it in front-wheel drive. It's just so smooth, their delivery. It doesn't try to knock your brain out. It's not meant to do that anyways. It's just smooth acceleration all the way through, no problem at all. And it's just fun to drive it fast. Now, speaking of driving fast and being hard on the throttle, let's look at some fuel economy. So I've done just about over like 100 kilometers, maybe a bit more, closer to 200 probably. And I'm getting 11.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, that is me city driving mostly, not so much highway driving. Like I'm doing city, like this is like kind of, it's a small highway-esque because the speed limit's 80 here, but so I drive on these roads a lot, these straight long roads, and like some of the twisty stuff I do a little bit as well. So that's kind of where my fuel economy numbers come from. If you do more highway driving, you're probably going to see those numbers drop, and obviously if you don't drive it in sport mode all the time, stuff like that, that number will probably drop for you as well. So that is the good news. I think you could probably get it to a low 10 if you're being careful, and if you're really trying to drop your kilometers, it probably goes there. But 11.4 is really decent, really and surprising too. I was expecting a little bit more than 11.4. It's actually better than some of the sedans I've had over the years, so there you go. That's pretty good on fuel economy wise. It's going to save you a bit of money, hopefully. Now, visibility is also quite good. I've got big windows. I feel like I've got big windows. I feel like the noise isolation in here is pretty good as well. We're about to get real dirty. There's some dirt right here. Ooh, boy, look at this. I'm not going to go fast through this. I don't want to splash up. But if I did, I have a really nice color that you might not see dirt on so much. So there you go. That's pretty cool too. But yeah, I like the visibility in here. I like the road noise. You can hear I'm going over some rumble strips right there. Hopefully it doesn't peak the audio. But yeah, it's pretty quiet. You know, even going highway speeds, even going at speed in general, it's relatively quiet, which again is nice. This is kind of what you want. You're driving along, you can go and get your groceries and run your errands with your family. You don't want something that's going to make all this noise on the interior, and the Mazda's not doing that, so that's excellent too. So with that being said, I think I'm going to leave it there for the Mazda. Overall, really good. I wish the seats were a little bit more comfortable. They're a little bit on the firm side for me, but some people prefer that. So, you know, I would say hop in the seat, you know, give it a little test drive at your Mazda dealership, check it out. You know, Mazda also has told me that every Mazda comes with 2 years worth of connected services, which is pretty cool. So you can use that as well. You can use the mobile app to kind of remote stop your system and stuff like that. So you have that as well if you need it. I think it's 2 years for free. I don't know if you have to pay for that remote start up. I don't think you do, but there's other services that you may need to pay for, but they do come 2 years free. So there you go. And yeah, so overall, like I said, Seats could be a little bit firmer, but not a huge deal breaker. I have every single thing I need in here. I feel like it's very luxurious. I feel like it can handle any kind of weather. The all-wheel drive system is fantastic. Power delivery is fantastic. It has enough power to go around. So all those things make it a really, really great SUV. $51,000 is the MSRP price, which isn't terrible. We've seen worse. We've also seen maybe better, but for what Mazda is loading in this vehicle, it's hard to complain about. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell if you want to see every single post I do. I post 2 times a week, sometimes 3, if I can muster up the footage to do it. So there you go. It's a ton of content of all the cars that I review here on my channel. So make sure you check it out and subscribe so I can get more opportunities and give you even more cars to look at. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next week. See you in the next car. Take care.